Now let's grill the security topics. Obviously, point of sale problems they're a hot topic here, particularly these, the memory scrapers and being able to get credentials and use those in nefarious ways. So there's a story here about what sounds like a pretty big one. What can you tell us, Matt?
So Intel Crawler released a report with some information on a botnet that they're calling Nemanja, and I may be saying that correctly or not. It's a Serbian name. So Nemanja apparently infected a large number of point-of-sale devices, somewhere on the order of 1,500 in a number of countries across the globe. Has functionality for RAM scraping, key logging, everything you'd expect from a current generation point-of-sale malware. The article actually went on to talk mostly about the wide variety of point-of-sale terminals that it actually supported. There was more than 10 different vendors that were affected by this, which is, it's nothing to sneeze at. And also some of the different criminal activities done by the operators of this botnet, which stretched all the way from the malware itself to actually trying to pay off employees at certain chains where this malware was installed to install the malware there.
Right.
So this is a fairly sophisticated operation. The one thing about the report that I found a little bit lacking was that there wasn't too many details on the actual malware. The most evidence they provided was the output of, it looks like, logs from the malware, and I was trying to identify it. The report suggested this was brand new malware. Some of the patterns in the log files have the same exact strings as the Dexter point-of-sale malware, which has been around for a while. So in knowing as little as I know about this, I would have to speculate that there's some family ties between the authors of Dexter and the authors of this botnet. But I'm going on the report. I couldn't find too much information outside of it, but still a fascinating read.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some additional information as a follow-on to this, and as we have the opportunity to dig into it a little bit further. But, I think one of the things that I found sort of interesting about this, there were a large number of organizations associated with it, whereas we've seen some pretty high-profile cases that have made it into the news. And the next order here is that what you don't hear about so much, in fact, this may be a deliberate activity by the attackers in this case, to kind of diversify, spread things out a little bit, and perhaps not really make headlines with any particular event, but still be able to monetize the activity. So we've seen this kind of activity before in bank fraud activities where they've, the Zeus botnets, the Game Over, they never really made them very big. They really just kind of make a lot of small ones and diversified the activities, went toward the smaller financial institutions for the most part, and that way try to keep out of the headlines. And so perhaps we're seeing that sort of trend in the credit card theft activities as well.
Right, because the headlines would lead to more response and more awareness of the actual malware and the operations.
Right.
Interesting.
So any comments from you, Jim?
The point-of-sale terminals seem to be a prime target these days.
Yeah, I think we're in a transition period where I think it's recognized that the technology needs to change. And in fact, there's been a big push toward hardware components, either as a part of the credit card itself or at least as a part of the scanning process so that it gets encrypted before it actually gets into any software processing system. That gives you much better protection against the theft of the credit card's information itself. I think we're in that transition period where the technology to do the protection is just lagging, and it's partly because you need that smoking gun to really get a good investment behind it, to get people to put money in front of the problem. So, good point.